Hey, yo, this is SamAnt, and oh, God, make sure you go check out our podcast, the Hip Hop Uncensored Podcast, on radio.com. You've seen us on YouTube, over 800,000 subscribers strong. Now, if you want to listen to your brothers raw, real, uncut, and most importantly in full, go check us out on radio.com, where we bring you the latest news on all things hip-hop, sports, relationships, politics, you name it, we cover it. The most dangerous podcast out to date, the Hip Hop Uncensored Podcast. Check us out 4 days a week on the radio.com app. Let's go. What's good and what up? It's your brother SamAnt. Hear it viral. Hip hop news. Do me a favor, family, before we get started with the content. Y'all know what to do. Go up top and hit that like button. Alright, so Nicki Minaj was on the Joe Budden podcast a couple days ago, and needless to say, things got a little hot, a little loud. Words were expressed. Nicki Minaj came at Joe Budden's throat over comments made toward her throughout the years. All in all, it made for a great interview. Both parties, Joe Budden and Nicki Minaj, saluting each other, giving each other props. And I think that bygones are bygones in that situation and everything are cool. But if you guys remember that song Apple of My Eye on Rick Ross's album before the last joint that he just dropped, had some conversation about Meek Mill. And it said a line about Nicki. I told Meek I wouldn't trust Nicki. Instead of beefing with the dog, you just give him some distance. And it was like, damn, okay, we all know how Nicki is. When is she going to respond? Well, she waited well over a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, to give her response. She did that on the Joe Budden podcast. I'm going to play a little bit of what Nicki had to say about Rick Ross, and then I'll come back on the back end with my commentary in regards to what she said. So let me not hold you any longer. Nicki Minaj, let's go.
Only person in your artist corner when everyone turned their back on them, when everyone was calling them Twitter fingers and cracking up laughing at them, and you had, like, my nigga, and I'm the one. I went and sat down in a meeting with Obama, President Obama, and Ross was there and texted dude after the meeting and said, yo, this chick is a keeper. I saw the text myself with my own eyes. This chick is a keeper. She went in a room full of rappers and spoke to Obama, and the first thing out of her mouth was about you and figuring out your probation situation and why you're still on probation after all these years. And then you come out on an album when it's time to sell some weak ass fucking album and try to disrespect Nicki Minaj? What? And now you tried to do it. Now you tried to disrespect 50. Tried to hope 50 would respond to your nonsense this time. Boy, sit your fat ass down.
Sit your fat ass down. You know what? I expect this from Nicki, and I'm not mad at her. When somebody comes at you, you have every right to respond however you have to respond. And somebody that comes at you, they just got to make their bed and lay in it. It's the game. It's the territory. What comes with it. Joe Budden said something real dope a couple of minutes ago, actually. He said, hey, man, people scream, people holler. I've done it before, but this is what we signed up for. This is what we deal with. When we give criticism to people, they have the right to respond. We got to give them the platform to do so. So much proper and respect to Joe Budden and Nicki Minaj for sitting there and being as professional as possible and doing the interview so that the people could watch two individuals air out some differences. I thought that was dope. Like I said, I'm not mad at what she said about Rick Ross, but let's talk about the content and let's talk about what she exactly said. Now, she said that she defended Meek Mill numerous times and was very taken aback and pissed off by his bar. Told Meek I wouldn't trust Nicki. Instead of beefing with your dog, you just give him some distance, claiming she was the only one around for Meek Mill during a real dark time. Now, I remember when Meek Mill was going through his drama. He was dating Nicki Minaj. He was beefing with Drake. He was dealing with some substance abuse issues that he admittedly dealt with, the demons that he was dealing with. And it was just a real dark time. And it seems as though Nicki Minaj may have been dealing with some dark things as well and doesn't really enjoy talking about it too much, which is why maybe she got so upset when Joe Budden brought up the drug situation, because he never denied it. She was just upset that he had brought it up, given the fact that he was a former addict himself. Hey, maybe that's why he brought it up and felt as though he was justified to say it. Needless to say, that situation is dealt with. But I tend to believe Nicki Minaj a little more in this situation, only because Rick Ross is an incredible talent as he is lyrically and a rapper. I love him as a rapper. He's had a tendency sometimes to say some things to make people go, whoa, wait, what? And then the person that he talked about kind of dispelled the rumor. I'll give you an example. When he talked about Turk on that record, Items Become Rivals, on the same album that Nicki's talking about getting dissed on, he went in and said Turk came home, get that boy a 3-piece. basically implying the fact that Baby didn't pay Turk either, and he just did everybody that was signed to him dirty. Turk came out on his live maybe a day or so after the album released and denied that shit, told Rick Ross to stay out of his fucking business. I don't know if you guys heard that interview, but he pretty much denied all the accusations that was thrown in that record by Rick Ross. So it just seems to me sometimes maybe Rick Ross throws things out there for entertainment purposes. The only way we will really find out, because nobody fucking knows, with the exception of maybe Meek Mill, and I don't know if he's going to dive into that. I'm sure people will ask him on Twitter about Nicki Minaj's conversation. Was it true or not, what Rick Ross said? And he'll find his way to get through that. But that's really the only way we know. That's the only person that actually really knows what's good, Nicki, Ross, and Meek Mill. And really, it's really none of our fucking business, to be perfectly honest with you. She said what she had to say in response to what was said with her. And you got to appreciate that at the end of the day, man. This is what we do. If you get into the media game, you're going to have to talk about some people. And if you don't stand by your word and you're saying some wild shit one day, then people might press you. You're going to have to hold your word or back down like a bitch, man. It is what it is. Sometimes in this game, in this field, you have to apologize. There's nothing wrong. There's no bitching apologizing either. Just don't run your mouth crazy, run your mouth reckless, and then not have the balls to stand up to your word once somebody presses you. Respect to Joe Budden for being professional and sticking by his word and allowing Nicki Minaj to have the platform to air out her grievances. And we'll wait to see what Rick Ross has to say in response. If you guys want to see what Nicki Minaj had to say to Joe Budden, you can stick around to the back end of this video, because Oh God and I from the Hip Hop News Uncensored podcast dropped a very dynamic segment on this exact situation yesterday. So y'all can stay tuned for that on the back end of this video. If you enjoy the content, want to hear some more, go ahead in the description box right now. You'll see links to our Twitter and IG, which you also see up top. And make sure you subscribe to all the platforms that SamAnt myself run. You'll see them in the description box as well. Make sure you hit that notification bell. And most importantly, make sure you subscribe to the most dangerous, most underrated, most disrespected podcast out here today, the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast with my brother Oh God. All of those links are in the description box, courtesy of radio.com. You see them all down there. Do your thing. Support the movement. Always trying to keep it raw, real, and uncut here at Viral Hip Hop News. Until next time, until next story, I sincerely appreciate each and every one of y'all. And I'm out of here, man. Peace. To evolve and do our thing, man. But let's get into this next topic. Oh God, we got Nicki Minaj and Joe Budden.
Man, speaking of flexing, man, that shit went down last night.
Did
man.
it? You didn't think it was a good acting show?
Probably. Joe Budden's and play a little bit of that though, SamAnt, real quick. Joe Budden's and Nicki Minaj sat down. Looked like Nicki was recording from her phone.
She was live for a minute.
Oh, she was live for a minute. Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna play this quick audio.
Y'all went on, and this was at a time where I wasn't addressing things.
But you're incorrect, by the way.
No, I'm gonna finish. You went on your platform and said she didn't know this other bitch was on the record. You said it, and you said it. I'm gonna get to the other things that you said.
Here we go.
You said that. Now that is, again, implying that I'm lying. When I sat and said exactly how the song came about. That I was asked, and I still have the text messages, can this person be put on the song? And my response was, yeah, let's do it. That would do what the fuck you won't do.
Did that ever come?
Drugs? When you've never met them a day in your life?
I've never met you.
Unless we was recording in a web studio?
Holy shit.
Oh, so your mother trained you to accuse people of being on a drug after you met them one time and never saw them for 10 more years? Oh, after the BT cipher.
They haven't been on drugs.
That's what your mother raised you to do?
Okay.
That's what your mother raised you to do?
Nick.
That's what your mother raised you to do? Your mother raised you. Your mother raised you. Yeah, tasting your own motherfucking medicine, motherfucker. You like talking about people and not having nobody responding. You like tearing down people's character when they can't respond. You like tearing down women when they can't defend themselves. You like tearing down women when you can try to end their career. Like you jealous of them.
Is that like a dog barking in the background? Where the hell are they recording that, man? I swear I heard a dog in the background.
You ain't talking, you not Nicki. You ain't talking about Nicki. You was talking about a real dog.
Yeah.
Thought you heard background, maybe.
That's great. I mean, kind of my first time hearing it, probably second time hearing this. I mean, we heard about it yesterday. I kind of didn't know what the fuss was about, but now we know. It seems like Nicki is very in her feelings about some of Joe Budden's commentary about stuff that he said. And quite frankly, I'm kind of surprised, Sam, before I turn it over to you, that she's so into it, listening, being as, you know, who she is, probably the top female in the game right now, you know, so much accolades, you know, crossed over pop and everything. And she's worried about what the fuck Joe Budden's is saying about her. But I guess, you know, when you have a big following like that, it matters for some people. But what are your thoughts on their little argument that they had, man?
Man, all right. So first and foremost, if she had a grievance with anything he said about her, she deserved the time and the platform to go ahead and express those and talk to him face to face. I have no problem with that. I 100% agree with that. But it just bothers me, just the screaming and the hollering. It's just it's real showy. It's very showy. And what point are you really getting across other than you trying to put on a show? Nicki Minaj is one of the greatest female rappers of all time. She's one of the greatest lyricists, male or female, that we've had in the last 15 years. She changed the game.
Facts.
A lot of the females out here, most 93% of the females out here, the crop of females that come out that are popular now, they've emulated some part of Nicki Minaj's style. She deserves that homage all day long. But I think she feels threatened by the new crop. She feels threatened when there's a new name. She may feel some type of way when there's another name being spoken of in the rap game outside of Nicki Minaj. And sometimes I don't know her. This is just what I'm looking at and what I'm perceiving and what I see. From my two eyes, it seems as though if she doesn't give straight shade or hate toward it, it's fake love. Like that shit with Megan Thee Stallion. It seemed real weird.